Hello, many thanks for joining us on Newspaper Headlines on ACNN TV. I am Charles Philip Owakolam. Remember, you can always join this program through phone call or our social media platforms. On YouTube, it is youtube.com/ACNN TV, while on Facebook, facebook.com/ACNN TV. Now on Instagram and Twitter, it is at ACNN TV. And you can also get us through our website, www.acnntv.com. All right, we'll begin with Vanguard newspaper. Insecurity, that's a lead story on Vanguard. The federal government shoots down talks on mercenaries. You can find that on page 5. Let's see the kickers. Vows to come out in full force against insurgents. Says negotiating with bandits suggests weakness. Insists government will not be blackmailed. Reveals meeting with Gumi. Niger State government bandits demand 200 million to free 19 people abducted in Niger. Bandits kill 7 in Kaduna villages. Burn property. Russell cattle. Banditry taking too much toll on us, says traditional rulers to Buhari. And we have a picture of the traditional rulers who met with the president yesterday. From left, it is Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminent Muhammad Saad Abubakar, and Emir of Kano, His Royal Majesty, His Royal Highness Aminu Ado Bayero. Emir of Kazauri, Dr. Najib Husseini Adamu, Oni of Ife, His Imperial Majesty Obadeye Ogunwusi, Ojaja II, and Obi of Onitsha. His Royal Majesty Igwe Nemeka Achebe, shortly after President Buhari's audience with National Council of Traditional Rulers of Nigeria in Abuja. Like I said earlier, it happened yesterday. We won't cede land for ranching, Southeast Governor says. That's on page 13. Beside the pictures, we will support federal government to fight insecurity, coming from PDP governors on page 8. Buhari inaugurates NDDC permanent office complex. That's on page 12. Okay, let's move up now and see the rest of the stories on front page of Vanguard. Those calling for my arrest are clowns. Coming from Sheikh Gumi, page 9. Buhari to traditional rulers will be harder on criminals, page 8. Same page 8, we see a story there. Headers farmers crisis linked to climate change, says Khan, and also the Sultan. Okay, finally, federal government confirms return of subsidy as PPPRA puts fuel price at 212.61 naira per litre, and you'll find our story on page 9. All right, let me move to the next paper here. Blueprint newspaper. Amidst rising, NSA vows federal government won't hire mercenaries. Negotiate with bandits or terrorists, says it's sign of weakness, threatens to crush criminals. Bandits regrouping in Cubao Hills, Kaduna, says Senator. A lecturer, students abducted in Edo. Niger schools shut down. Gunmen kill police, injure another in Benue. PDP governors on same page with federal government, says Tambuwal. Is it on page 8? And in pictures we have governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, taking his first jab of the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. While on the other hand, it is Katsina State Governor Aminu Bello Masari also taking his own vaccine. Okay. Let's continue. Ironsi Gowon and Obasanjo shut us out of governance, says traditional rulers. Lobby lawmakers to get role, says Omoagege. And news on page 5, Nine Post reclaims stamp duty from FIRS. Minimum wage removal from exclusive list will destroy economy. Coming from the TUC, page 15. On page 13, a 70-year-old man offers 25,000 naira compensation for raping 3-year-old girl. We are broke, reps cry out. Page 5. Okay, above lead story now. Pilgrims funds safer in Hajj savings account. Governor Sule. Army ready to assist police in internal security. That's on page 5 and it's coming from the CDS. Banks now demand invoice. Orders for online forex transfers. Page 24. And forex scarcity traps MTN's 106 billion naira profit in Nigeria. Forex scarcity traps MTN's 106 billion naira profit in Nigeria. Page 23 is where you find that story on Blueprint newspaper. All right, but that's all. I'm moving to Daily Times now. Daily Times newspaper. Gunmen abduct teachers. Students in Edo. Bandits still on rampage in Kaduna. Orders. Page 2. Above that masthead, European nations suspend AstraZeneca vaccination over blood clot fears. That story is on front page, but continued on page 5 of Daily Times newspaper. Okay, let's come down. Picture of the meeting the traditional rulers with the president at presidential villa in Abuja. That's the picture there. And coming down, female-owned businesses. Awoshika, Oputu, others seek structural intervention for female-owned businesses. COVID-19. Septical Tanzania's President John Magufuli treats COVID-19 in India, says opposition chief. Okay, you get that story on page 31. And confiscated cash. Ibori's confiscated cash belongs to Delta, not federal government. Who said so? You find out on Daily Times on page 3 of Daily Times newspaper. Okay, that's all right there. And we have the Friday Leadership newspaper right here with me. The lead story says 1 year after COVID-19, manufacturing sector struggles despite federal government's 1 trillion naira grant. Page 4. Let's see the kickers. Production value drops from 7.38 trillion naira to 2.36 trillion naira. Unsold goods hit 303.22 billion naira as 83% households cut consumption. More governors receive jabs. Flag of vaccination in states. Experts differ on safety of AstraZeneca vaccine as Denmark, Iceland, Norway suspend use. PMB goes tough, says we will be harder on criminals as NSA rules out use of mercenaries and dialogue with bandits. The picture of the meeting of the traditional rulers with the president at the presidential villa. Okay, let's look at masthead. Above lead story, NUT kicks as Niger shuts down schools. States fail to assess 41.6 billion naira UBEC grants. That's on page 13. And finally, PDP Board of Trustees rejects moves to sack party's National Working Committee. That's the last story on Leadership newspaper. So I will be going to Nigerian Pilot newspaper. No negotiation NSA says no negotiation with insurgents. Bandits suggest weakness, incapacity. Says federal government's new direction is to come out with full force against criminals. Insists mercenaries won't be re-engaged to fight Boko Haram. Reveals that so far 2,403 members of Boko Haram sect have been killed. Get details on page 8. We have a picture of Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, the NDDC Interim Administrator, Effiong Akwat, and President National Youth Council of Nigeria, Solomon Adodo, inspecting the newly commissioned NDDC headquarters in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, yesterday. Insecurity, Niger shuts all secondary schools, page 7. Reps spokesman cries out, says National Assembly broke. That's on page 7. 2.1 billion naira loot. Falana storms court, ready to testify against Maina. NIPOST regains power to collect stamp duty after years of dispute with the FIRS. Page 8. Ironsi and Gowon and Obasanjo stripped us of constitutional roles, says Monarchs. Page 5. On the same page 5, PDP says it's ready to take over power from Buhari. EFCC arraigns 3 FIRS directors, 6 other officers for 4.5 billion naira fraud. Get it on page 5. If we look above the lead story, Southeast governors not interested in regional security network and ranching, says Umahi. That's on page 6. And UBEC's unutilized funds now over 41 billion naira, says Boboi. Okay, that story is on page 8. And that's the last one on Nigerian pilots newspaper. Okay, we'll pause here now, but there is more after this short break. We shall return soon. Please don't go anywhere.
Worthy by design. On this show, we focus on the journey from girlhood to womanhood and everything in between. You are worthy by design.
All right, welcome back. And in case you're just joining, this is newspaper headlines on ACNN TV. We are continuing with the New Telegraph newspaper. All right, federal government to bandits and insurgents, no negotiation. We will crush you. That's a late story on New Telegraph. Rules out engagement of mercenaries to tackle Boko Haram. NSA laments a shortage of security personnel and equipment. Buhari restates shoot-on-sight order on AK-47 bearers. Pages 2 and 8. Above lead story, we are broke. House of Reps cries out. That's on page 3. DMO admits high debt service to revenue ratio. Page 4. Minimum wage, you can't impose federal structure on states. Governors tell federal government. That's on page 3. Federal government arraigned 3 FIRS directors, 6 others for 4.5 billion naira fraud. Page 2. Okay, coming down below the picture, stimulus, manufacturers lament poor access to funds. Alleged poor execution of CBN interventions, page 4. And finally, tea can help lower blood pressure, page 5. Right now, we are on Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Insecurity. Buhari and NSA talk tough. We will be more ruthless with criminals. Anyone found with illegal AK-47 will be shot, President affirms. Traditional rulers at Villa lament toll of banditry on their subjects. Federal government not weak. We won't negotiate with bandits. 2,403 insurgents killed since 2015. NSA says. How Iran see go on, Obasanjo crippled traditional institution, laid foundation for national insecurity, says Sultan. We are ready to support federal government, PDP governors say. That's on page 2. Beside the picture, bandits kill 7 in fresh attack in Kaduna, page 2. Ranching. Fayemi not ceding Ekiti lands to headers, says APC, page 4. Southwest leaders meet in Ibadan next week over insecurity. Find it on page 4 as well. And on page 28, government kidnapped 2 students. Lecturer in Edo kidnapped father, son, pays 3 million naira to secure release. Kidnapped father and son pays 3 million to secure release. Niger government closes public schools for 2 weeks, page 4. Of lead story, CBN reopens portal for 50 billion naira economic stimulus package, page 7. BDC's move against forex speculators, black market dealers. That's on page 7. 41.6 billion naira basic education fund not assessed by states, UBEC boss says. Page 29, that's where you find that story. Okay, we have a story below the picture. Reps order EFCC to dispose seized and forfeited properties, page 30. On page 29, Niger Delta governors absent as Buhari inaugurates NDDC building. House of Reps is broke, says spokesman, page 25. And the last story above the masthead, how 2023 politics tempting high rates of dollars are encouraging drug trafficking, page 27. Inadequate funding logistics constraining effective Amotekun operation in Southwest. Okay, that's on page 2. And that's the last story on Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Okay, we are moving ahead to People's Daily newspaper. Federal government rules out mercenaries in fight against insurgents. Says negotiating with terrorists suggests weakness. White troops kill 2,403 insurgents in 10 months, coming from National Security Advisor, NSA. The NCC executives during a virtual billion lecture yesterday, March 11, 2021 in Abuja. Okay, that's the picture. And below we have over 41.06 billion naira UBEC fund lies unassessed, says official. That's on page 6. Bottom swift stories, reps to EFCC, sell seized and abandoned properties now, page 5. Third wave of coronavirus begins in Germany, says official, page 2. We are broke, reps spokesperson cries out, page. Federal salary structure can't be imposed on states, says Fayemi. That's on page 3. Okay, finally, Buhari to traditional rulers will be harder on criminals. Page 8 will be harder on criminals. That's the last story on People's Daily newspaper. And it's time for sports stories. And as usual, we are on page 36 of Vanguard newspaper for some of the sports stories. Let's see what we have here. Motsepe set to become CAF president. Pinnick jostles for FIFA Council seat. Aruna shifts focus to Tokyo 2020 qualifying tournament. Fresh hope for Eaglets as Zambia bid to host under-17 AFCON. Jones era backs Pinnick to pick FIFA Council slots. Maradona was killed, Argentine protesters allege. NBBF plans quality friendlies for the Tigers and the Tigress. Governor Otom sacks Lobby Stars vice chairman. National Principals Cup. Winners emerge in Kaduna and Anambra. Lagos final comes up today. Okay, that's all from page 36. And on page 37, we have footballers, top footballers who changed their citizenship. We have Bukayo Saka of the Nigerian heritage adopted England. We have David Alaba, Nigerian heritage, adopted Austria. Tammy Abraham, Robson Kanu, Angelo Bona, all of Nigerian heritage, adopting England, Wales and Italy, respectively. N'Golo Kante of Mali heritage adopting France. We have others as well. Dele Ali, Nigeria, adopting England. We have Adama Traore, Mali, adopting Spain. Paul Pogba from Guinea, adopted France. We have Kylian Mbappe, Cameroonian, adopted France. We have Ousmane Dembele from Mali, adopted France. Luis Nani, Cape Verde, adopted Portugal. Memphis Depay of Ghana, adopted Netherlands. Mario Balotelli, African heritage of Ghana, adopted Italy. Leroy Sané from Senegal, adopted Germany. Marcus Rashford from Ghana, adopted England. Stephen El Shawari from Egypt, adopted Italy. Jerome Boateng of Ghana, adopted Germany. Okay, so let's move on to the back page of Vanguard newspaper. The back page now, we still have some stories there. Confusion over Edo 2020 National Sports Festival. Get details there. Mosepe set to become CAF president as Pinnick jostles for FIFA Council seat. Ronaldo must go, says former Juve president. Cristiano Ronaldo is facing criticism after Juventus failed to reach the quarterfinals of Champions League. Okay. All right. Maradona was killed, Argentine protesters allege. Let me check today's fixtures. In La Liga, we have Levante versus Valencia, 9 p.m. Nigerian time. Bundesliga, Augsburg versus Mönchengladbach, 8:30 p.m. Serie A, we have Lazio Crotone, 3 p.m. Atalanta Spezia, 8:45 p.m. In Ligue 1, Reims versus Lyon, 9 p.m. And yesterday's results were from the Europa League. Ajax 3, Young Boys 0, Dynamo Kiev 0, Villarreal 2, Manchester United 1, AC Milan 1, Slavia Prague 1, Rangers 1. Okay, that's all from Vanguard Sports, and that's all from Sports Stories, and that is the size of the show for today. Thank you for watching. Overcoming fear isn't just about doing what scares you, but having the courage to say no to things you no longer want in your life. I am Charles Philip Owakolam. God bless your day and your weekend. Bye-bye.
Worthy by design. On this show, we focus on the journey from girlhood to everything in between. You are worthy by design.
I am the God that healeth thee. I am the Lord